always something, you're never good at all of it. And our kind of journey as Nobleman has really kind of changed, and my perspective on what it needs to be a business, right? We make, in my opinion, good beer, but we had terrible sales strategy when we started. We spent all our money on equipment. We just thought you could just walk in and somebody would take it, right? They're gonna claw you for it. They're gonna fight you over for that beer. We had a very good brand, but we didn't market the brand. We didn't know how to market the brand. We didn't know how to spend money to market the brand. And kind of then, the first thing that came up was, well, the thing that stands out in 2020 is selling your beer in your bar. So very early on, we got really
I did it on purpose.
we got really we kind of said, listen, we want to sell our own beer. It was just the easiest way for us to see where we're going to go. And once the brewery started, we got the next slide and see where we are. Okay, that's the Noble. So this is kind of the story of the Noble. Next slide. So we started in Magaliesburg in the brewery in 2019, very early parts of 2019. We decided to open the village, started in 2019, so I go there. On the same time, we thought, listen, we could have this place, we could sell our beer, and we'll wing the rest. We'll wing food, we'll wing all the other stuff. There's no forecast of what this is going to cost, how much we're supposed to spend on anything. We just need to sell our beer, right? That's all we need to do, is sell our beer. And that kind of it came to an end in a certain sense that we had a certain market, a certain person came to Magaliesburg to drink it. And it was not what I envisioned it to be. So the other partner is I lived in Joburg or in Randburg, and we kind of said, one of the partners and I said, listen, we've got to have something closer, we've got to move to Joburg, we've got to move to our real customers, So then, in December 2019, we signed a lease for a small little pizza shop, beer place in London, right off the beaten track, but we weren't prepared to commit to anything more. We weren't committed. Our rent was very low. There was very little capital we had to spend to get in there, and we were kind of just hedging our bets. But it was still the most wrong decision we made. At the same time, the guy from Craft Beer Library kind of got us involved and wanted to sell his place, and we were very close to buying it. It didn't work out. But from there, and from the information we got from him, we saw it really opened our eyes to what is possible, right? Without seeing the numbers, and without seeing stuff that goes on behind, if you are just a brewer and you're just going to start opening a restaurant or a bar, it's like, you have nothing to go by. You have absolutely nothing to go by, right? How to project turnover. If you show up in a place twice, how busy is this place really? What is the turnover? How many staff does he have? All of this type of stuff. There's no reason for you to know it because you bring beer, right? You're not in business. It isn't your line of work. And from there on, I kind of consoled myself to the fact that we couldn't get Craft Beer Library, that we opened the Noble in the logo. Okay, so next slide. So the first thing is London was a small little spot. Rent was it's a lot of money, but it was low compared to what the other places were costing. It wasn't even low per square meter. It was very high per square meter. But we would just look into this thing about just 12,000 rand. This is all it is. It's just 12,000 rand. But that's what you couldn't turn that place to make 12,000 rand profit to pay for it. So it's a loss. It's a dead loss. Even though it's a little loss compared to a bigger place with more people. There was small rent, small upside, and we didn't understand this upside. This is kind of, I guess, part of what this talks about, is understanding an upside. We didn't have a liquor license, which is also something that you need to really kind of take to heart before you decide to go somewhere where there's no liquor license. Number one, there's never been a restaurant, so are you sure it's going to work? And number two, it's an awful process. I hate it. And everything else goes quickly, right? Even the stuff the stainless steel bring from China goes quickly compared to a liquor license. So that is a small investment, relatively, but it had no chance. We basically threw away money. So next slide. So we found this awesome place that had a history of a great restaurant in there. So on the corner of Oxford, in the Lobos, prime spot. We're just gonna kill it, right? We were just gonna kill it. Everybody was gonna come. This is one of the best corners in Joburg. Everything is gonna happen. Lockdown happened. It screwed us. It was supposed to happen on the 1st of April, which then really changed our perception of it. We didn't finish the play. We didn't do the soft finishes. Like money went into paying staff during lockdown. A lot of things kind of like were on the edge, and we didn't quite finish them and take it to the next level. And yeah, we were going to say, we're going to be a beer bar. That's what I, from Randburg and from the western side of Joburg, thought, listen, we're going to be a beer bar. We're going to sell beer. We're going to sell IPAs. So these people are here for this. And as things kind of get going on with Corona and whatever, we had to pivot. We had to pivot big time from a beer bar to an eatery that does a lot of other things. It goes cocktails, vegetarian food. Like I've never thought I would have to serve vegetarian food in my bar, right? But it is massively important. Music is the key to the area that we're in. And I didn't want to have a house music or stuff in my place, but it had to happen. And it had to happen to such an extent that I had to do it. We didn't have money, right? So yeah, I had to fill that role. But that little change, the vibe, and understanding the area we're in is massive. So let's go to the next slide. So this is kind of just a breakdown of what our sales look like percentage-wise. So Nobleman products, that's beer and tonic that we do. It's only a quarter of turnover. Food is at 35%. And you put these ones at the bottom all together, you realize how much and how important cocktail spirits, soft drinks and wine are. Right? It's a massive, massive part of your establishment. And you have to give the same attention that you give this and this, you have to give to this. It's area dependent, right? It really is the point when we're talking about our area, and Sandy. And we had like 2 cocktails, we had no nice spirits. I didn't think anybody would buy a 55 rand shot of Don Julio, right? But as soon as we start selling Don Julio, it flies. It absolutely flies. And the money we make that allows you to focus on the other things is great. It's awesome. You can go to the next slide. So the thing I would have wanted to know before doing this is that you've got to understand the difference between cost of goods and fixed costs. And it's kind of just a small little kind of intro into that to say, listen, this is how you project forward if this is what you want to do, if you want to sell your beer one day. The way we thought was, I can take one lager, it costs me 500 rand at the brewery to make, for instance. I'm going to sell it to my other entity for 1,000 rand. The bar buys the cake for 1,000, it sells it for 2,500. Well, 2,000 rand that gets made there, right? So easy. It looks, from a beer perspective, it looks absolutely great to open your own place and sell your own beer. But there are so many pitfalls to get to that 2,500 rand. There's so many things that go with it that you need to understand. And it is all kind of dependent on your area and all kinds of stuff. There's no right answers. It's just that you need to be aware that it doesn't go from that. And it sounds stupid, right? But it's true. We'll go to the next slide. So just as something I also kind of had to look at when we started is what do you aim for, right? What do you aim for when starting this? So cost of goods, variable cost, food and drink together should be aiming to keep that at 40% of your turnover, right? It doesn't help you have 500,000 in turnover, but the stuff is costing you for every rand you make, you have to spend 80 cents to buy that stuff, right? That's you're just making other people rich, you're making suppliers rich, or your staff, or somebody. Fixed cost, rent is the big one, and for the bars and restaurants, the good places aim to have their rent at between 10 and 50% of their turnover, right? That's kind of where and that changes when you have a farm and another venue, and it's different. But if you're going to go a non-event type of place, you should be aiming to go 10 to 15%, and we're not there. That's because turnover is low. So, and then fixed salaries and wages, this one varies quite a lot because you could be doing stuff here that you don't get paid for. A lot of people do stuff for their restaurant that doesn't get paid, so it doesn't get pulled into that 20. But that's 20 to 25%. If you add those things up, it's about 70% of what turnover needs to be. So the rest of it needs to be what you take home, or what you spend on utilities. There's a lot of little kind of extra things that we have that makes it look very simple. But if you can control these ones, you are in a much better space. So let's go to the next slide. Quick one, we do 100,000 turnover, the cost of sales is 40, rent is 15%, you did a proper thing in the beginning, and your salaries and wages is 25. You make 20,000 rand profit. Go to the next slide. Now, you turn over 200,000. You double good marketing, season, what it is. Variable go up to 80. Rent stays fixed at 15. Wages don't double. There's extra shifts, but you've got a fixed off. You make 70. Right? So you have to understand all of these things to make this go bigger. It's not just turnover. Because if this is not right, then you're going to still only going to be making a little bit. You can go on to the next slide. So when you are costing a place, right, do the initial costing. Take space, put traffic, existing profile, and take that and do a costing and say, this is what I think it can be. Note the future and the end game of future, the capacity we have. We didn't do for our linen shop, we didn't do just basic calculations to say, listen, we can fit 10 people in here. Yes, but can we fit 30? And we need 30 to make the space work. I was just saying we need to turn over this, but to turn over this, and you only can get 20 people, means people need to spend between 300 and 600 rand a person in the place, which is just not happening for a level, right? That is just not happening. And we didn't do those basic stuff. When you start off with cost of sales at 50%, put rent at 17.5%, salary 25%. That's what I would use if I was going to do initial costing, and I've seen a place that I like, I would use these numbers. So we go on to the next slide. So the aim is for improvement, turnover, increase the people, or increase the spend, right? So there's a lot of ways to think. People just think it's more people, but there's all kinds of strategies for people don't drink, or people don't eat, they just drink, right? So you have to think about that and say, listen, how can I improve that? Do I need to change my food to match what I'm doing? Why are people not eating in my establishment? Because eating is 35% of your turnover. Cost of sales is probably the easiest thing to change, right? Cheaper supplier, reduce wastage, reduce theft, increase prices. And this one is kind of like also something we didn't do. I priced our food based on what I would pay for it. And that's not the correct way to do it. You need to look at the other people in the area and what they're doing. You can't get away from that. Don't think you can do it cheaper than these people that have been in the business forever, right? It's down. We did it, and we've kind of raised prices a lot, and it's still not. It hasn't affected sales at all. It hasn't affected sales at all. Rent is fixed, and this is usually what's the most important thing. Is that if you have a place where you can control this, you can do something with this after you start. You can do something about your staff cost after you've opened. But usually you cannot do anything about the rent after you start. It's a locked-in contract, 3 years, whatever. And if this isn't right, if this is too big of a pie, no matter what you do, it doesn't work. So you really need to take care of and understand, is the rent I'm paying for this place worth it? And does my costing work with it? And this is kind of like the biggest pitfall you can move into in the beginning of opening a restaurant. So you can go to the last slide, I think. And it's just the same as what I've been saying. Cost of sales, turnover staff. These things it's easier to change them. Easy to change this and that. To change things you can't do that. So businesses are doomed. A lot of businesses are doomed before they start because they are signing rent for a place that can never match up. You can never match up, and then all you're doing is you're paying somebody else. You're paying the landlord, and you have a doomed thing. You're locked into it. So kind of you need to make sure you get that right. The other things you can work on, the other things you can bring in a chef and you can say, I'm rehauling the kitchen, we're taking a new menu, I'm going to another supplier, but you can't change the rent off it. Like that just doesn't happen. Usually what happens, and we see that in some of our partners on the property games, usually people, they have to pay staff because they know nobody shows up. They have to pay a supplier or they don't deliver the next day. So what happens is this short pay on rent. Before you look at it, you're paying for a 50 grand tax, you're £1 million, you only give your landlord £1 million because you've been there 2.5 years and you haven't been paying rent. And then you're just going further down the rabbit hole. So yeah, this is kind of like what I've been thinking a lot of during lockdown. This is a big part of our strategy to move Nobleman a little bit a step further. And I wish I had kind of like just somebody to talk to and kind of just say, this is what's happening, and this is what we should be looking for. And everybody will do their own thing, no doubt about it. But if you're looking to still open up your own spot, to sell your own beer, consider this stuff is very important. And it will kill, if you open a restaurant and you spend too much, it kills you and it kills your brewery. Then you don't sell beer anymore. Right? So yeah, that was that. A little bit, not the nicest topic for the first thing in the morning, but yeah, that's kind of something that was on my heart for a long time this year, about opening a spot and being successful and selling your own beer. And why the only reason I want to have my own spot is so I can sell my range of beers. Like all the places I went to when we started, they would take lager, maybe lager. They wouldn't take IPA, they wouldn't take saison, and having the opportunity to sell it to a customer says something about our brand, and it grows our brand. If you don't have that opportunity, if you go into places where all they're looking to do is push volume, push lager, push this. So that was our kind of big focus to open a restaurant, and this is kind of the journey we went on. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Are there any questions? Are you in what used to be the old Griffin?
No, we're in Quran.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in Quran downstairs.
Sorry, anyway.
So there used to be a restaurant called Quran.